In this particular part, we're going to determine whether two functions are inverses. I've got two ways. This is one way. This is another way. One way, let f be a one-to-one function, then g is the inverse of f if the following conditions are true. Remember when we did composition? This one was f of g of x. Well, if we do that, and it comes out to be x, but we also have to do, we've got to do both of these. We have to find f of g of x and g of f of x. And if they both come out to be x, then they are inverses of one another. Another way to write the exact same thing, that indicating inverse. So if I do my composition, my f of f inverse of x equals x, and because of this word and, if this is true, which is saying the exact same thing here, they're just saying a little bit different, and they're using the notation for f inverse. So I'm going to do this one way here on this first problem. So let me move on down here. So I'm going to find f of g of x. So if you remember how to do this, I'm going to go get my g of x, which is right there. And I'm going to substitute that in wherever I see x in the f function. Then I'm going to simplify. I'm going to distribute my 3 through, simplify. So I end up with x. Now that's that way, but I also, there's an and here, I have to find this. So let me go get f of x. That's the 3x plus 6. Let me substitute that in for x. Distribute the 1/3 through. So those are inverses of one another. So that was what was called one way. Let me look at another way. Finding the inverse of a function. Procedure to find an equation of an inverse of a function. For a one-to-one function defined by y equals f of x, the equation of the inverse can be found as follows. Replace f of x with y, interchange x and y, solve for y. Once you finish that, you replace the y by f inverse, indicating, well, this is what you have found. So the first thing I need to do is make sure it's a one-to-one function. So in number 9, I'm going to do another way for this one. In number 9, I've got f of x, and I need to see if this is the inverse. But I'm not going to look at this because I'm going to go find the inverse. Okay? So now if you graph this, that will be a linear equation, and linear equations, for the most part, is one-to-one. So let me get that equation. I'm going to ignore the other one. First step, replace f of x by y. Second step, interchange x and y. Solve for y. So in this, I'm going to multiply by 5. Then I'm going to subtract 1. And then replace the y with f inverse. Check and see if this is what was given up here. And now if they had had a minus sign here, then I would have said they were inverses of one another. But with respect to this one, no, these are not. I didn't say these were. Yes. They are inverses. So I've got two ways. I can go and use my composition of functions, but I have to do both of these ways and see if they end up being x, or I can take one function and find its actual inverse and then compare and see if they're the same. So whichever way you want to do, it's up to you. Thank you.